Alright guys, we've got a pretty fun video here for you guys. We have the Total War Warhammer 2 First Look campaign map that aired earlier on Wednesday, and I wanted to just kind of run through it. A lot of you guys have requested it. I actually wasn't going to do it. I was going to do a video on the Dogs of War instead and just kind of get that out ASAP, but a lot of you guys did request it and I did want to get it out for y'all, so let's, without further ado, let's start screaming through this here video together. I'll stop it on the things that I wanted to talk about and go through with y'all. Kind of have a boner just looking at that. Okay, so that right off the bat, if you've seen a lot of the other videos that have been up here lately, you're going to see a lot of repeating information that is kind of unavoidable, because we're all kind of pulling from the same source. I'll try and touch on some things that is more from the books and less so from the actual lore in the army books. This in of itself is Val's anvil, and Val's every single there is a shrine for every single god that the High Elves worship. There's one for Val being the god of like the forge, fire, and as you can clearly see, armor making and the such. There's Adioth, there's Assyrian, there's the shrine of Hoeth, and there's all these shrines to Cain, even you know, Cain, who is the patron god primarily of the Dark Elves. So you've got these shrines all over Ulthuan, and we'll point them out as we get to see them. They might not all be as obvious as this one, but this one's kind of clear cut and opens up the trailer here for us. We have the Vortex here, and as we've really kind of discussed already, the Vortex is essentially what stops the chaos from overwhelming all of the old world. The High Elves used this during the I can't remember, not the Great Cataclysm, but something of the same the Great Catastrophe. That's the name of it. And all the chaos entities pour into the old world and start killing off Lizardmen and High Elves left and right, and Anarians fighting them. There's this really glorious part in the lore where Anarians fighting 4 greater demons of Khorne, Slaanesh, Tzeentch, and Nurgle on the Isle of the Dead, which is right in the center of Ulthuan, where all this is located. And he kills them one at a time, him and his dragon, only for them to end up going into the north and then driving his sword into the ground, the sword of Cain, which pretty much is what made him go like blood mad and everything. So you have this really romantic story of how the Vortex comes about, because just like Tyrion is like Anarian, Teclis is like Caledor Dragon Tamer. And in the actual books, Caledor Dragon Tamer is alive inside of the Vortex. The Vortex kind of creates this eternal purgatory that sucks up all the nascent winds of magic. And the actual winds of magic, if you read the Eataine Times, are locked up within that Vortex. There's only portions of them out in the world that we access. And just to kind of give you guys a teaser, but in the end times, the Vortex is destroyed, spoiler alert, and the winds of magic go and they actually inhabit people, and they become the incarnate of them. I believe Karl Franz becomes the incarnate of either heavens or light, and everyone kind of becomes all the really big name characters become the incarnate of one wind or the other. Like Nagash obviously becomes the incarnate of the winds of death, and so on and so forth. So you've got a very powerful source here that's sucking up all this magical energy and making it so that demons can't be as strong in the old world like or in the world in general like they used to during that great cataclysm, catastrophe, or whatever it's called. And because of that, the elves really guard this more so than anything. But there's a lot of, around all of Ulthuan are these stones that are put up that are made to strengthen that Vortex. All these waystones here and there. You will probably see them somewhere in the. I'm looking around here to see if I can just see them on the actual campaign map. Like this whole place right here, I believe, is Caledor's repose. And I'll put a little a picture right up here in this corner. I can't do it as I'm live streaming this here, but we'll have it here, and I'll actually have the picture of Ulthuan. So as we go through, you'll kind of be able to follow around where we're going, because right here we've got Caledor, which is basically where all of the dragons are coming from. They're all in these mountains here. They're slumbering, and they basically talk about how the elves have to literally sing to them to wake them up from their slumber. But we'll come over here to the first main city, of course, the city of, as I, sorry about that. As I take a look here, the city of Lothern. We've got Eataine, which is the basically the seat, the capital of Lothern here. And I'm sorry, Lothern is the capital of Eataine, and this is the flag of Eataine and Lothern of itself, and that's where Tyrion is going to be leading his glorious crusade from. And this is a really great shot initially of everything, because you can see all the inner kingdoms, and these are the outer kingdoms here. And I'm going to stop here because we can't see this when we go through the inside of it. But right here we have, you know, it's really hard for me to pronounce this one. Yversse, Y-V-R-E-S-S-E. Some of my British companions can help me pronounce that. But right here we've got Yversse, which is one of the outer kingdoms, just like Caledor is an outer kingdom over here. Caledor is mainly more of an inner and an outer, because Caledor is kind of here and on the back as well. We'll keep panning across, We have the Tower of Hoeth we'll go into a little bit here. The Finneval Plains, which are very important. And you see these banners across the land. Each one of them, of course, we have Ellyrion, we've got Saphery, we've got Avelorn. Each one of them has their own significance. Avelorn is the seat of the Everqueen, and Avelorn is really the biggest connection between the High Elves and the Wood Elves. The Everqueen is basically the incarnation of Aisha, I believe, and in that, or not necessarily the incarnation, but like just like the Phoenix King is touched by Assyrian, the Everqueen is touched by Aisha, and the reason that they're one and the same is because they embody the spirit of the elves on Earth. And there is a similar version of the Everqueen over in the Wood Elf land that lives deep in the forest, and that's Orion like wakes to do the Great Hunt by her behest every year and stuff like that, every couple of years or something along those lines. I'm not really sure what the actual date is on what makes him wake up for the Great Hunt, but Avelorn Avelorn itself is described as a very wild portion of Ulthuan, very unsettled, almost like Arizona if you live in the United States. But it's considered like there's still parts of Avelorn that are touched with chaos that you're not really supposed to go into. There's all sorts of portions of it that are both benevolent and some enigmatic, and some not just enigmatic but also, like I was saying, detrimental. So this is the portion of Ulthuan that is not, as you can see, not a rolling field or a plain or some sort of sprawling metropolis. So it's very important to note that this is pretty much a direct link to the Wood Elves, and the Wood Elves herald or ancestry coming from High Elves.
There are those who would unbind the Vortex and exploit its wild energies.
So there's a great picture here, because you've got, so this is the Isle of the Dead that I was talking about here. You got these really cool, like, little, like, tendrils of islands coming out of them. And you've got Game Vale right here, which is also a shrine at the same time. And right here, you can't really see it too well, but this is the Shrine of Assyrian. And that's really important because the Shrine of Assyrian, all of the Phoenix Kings have to pass through its flames. The Phoenix Guards guard the Shrine of Assyrian, and they take a vow of silence because they've been shown their own death, as we've talked about in the High Elf lore video. And through that, they take that vow of silence because they're not allowed to talk about it or anything like that. You know, hey, you know what? I'm gonna die if I go over that hill, but I'll do it for you. But no, that's the whole kind of thing behind them. Is really amazing, and these really stoic and badass fighters. But the Shrine of Assyrian is very important because we've mentioned the Finneval Plain, which actually I want to jump back here a very little bit. Let's go back right here. So the Finneval Plain is very important because there's a very large invasion that happens by the Dark Elves, and it all culminates right here in Finneval Plain. And this is really where Tyrion and Teclis get to show their worth, quote unquote. They come basically from Eataine, I believe, is where they grew up at an earlier age, or actually it's either Ellyrion or Eataine. If some of you have read the William King books, the Teclis and Tyrion Teclis trilogy, let me know. I can't remember 100%. But either way, the Finneval Plain is where there's a grand battle. If you look it up, if you type in the Battle of Finneval Plain, you'll hear about Malekith bringing his armies to bear and being defeated by Teclis, who essentially floats above the entire army to just do a mage duel, Harry Potter-like style, with Malekith. So the Battle of Finneval Plain was pretty much the deciding point when the High Elves maintained their hold on Ulthuan. Had they lost this, because what Malekith was doing was breaking down the seals of the Vortex at the same time. So chaos was starting to come in through the cults of pleasure all throughout the lands and stuff like that. So it was a very titanic battle and had a very huge sway in the future of Ulthuan, because like I said, it cemented the High Elves' hold on everything, because the Dark Elves had launched a huge invasion because they had infiltrated deep into the Phoenix Court. All sorts of badassedness went on. I'm just taking a look here at some more things, because everything like here and here, like you'd think, oh, there's little things. These are the waystones I was talking about. You can see them just barely. They're more stuff that, like I was saying, holds back the seals that hold back the Vortex. I think they're there as well. That's a horse. Because here we have Ellyrion. Like pretty much, Ellyrion and Tiranoc are like, when you think of the Lord of the Rings, like the home of the horse lords. Like this is where a lot of this comes from. Tiranoc chariots, the Illyrian reavers, all these plains over here, where the book talks about how they just kind of sweep through the plains and massive invasions happen to be answered by the sprawling cavalry of the Illyrian reavers or the Tiranoc chariots. As I look around here a little bit more, we'll see this a little bit closer, but we have a banner of Caledor here in the very lower left corner. The home of the dragons. There's a shrine around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. So this is, I believe, is a shrine of Adioth, one of the elven gods as well. Or it could be Summersong, which is a city within Ulthuan here. So yeah, here we go. Lothern again that we were taking a look at. And interesting to note, so you have this multiple kind of, not a buttress, but just multiple, not even blockade. I don't even know the word I want to use for this, but there's an actual word for fortified ports like this. For Lothern, which is, again, the capital, which you'd really consider of both Eataine and of all of Ulthuan. This is where the seat of the Phoenix Court is. This is where all of the power is, as far as where the Phoenix King resides. And the books describe Lothern as being eerily empty. Like people went away for some sort of grand festival or some grand vacation and just never returned, which to me is one of the most unsettling things about Ulthuan. Someone and Reddit had talked about, hey, where would you not want to go in the Warhammer world? And I said, I'd be terrified to fucking live in Lothern, because it's a giant city that was built for an era of High Elves when they were much more populous, and it's just not that way anymore. So it's kind of eerie to me.
Arrogant and highly developed people.
Oh, arrogant as fuck. There's supposed to be another city there, but this actually, it might be the tower, or I'm sorry, this might be the port of Elistor.
The High Elves are in love.
As we're coming across, look at these lovely banners.
The most successful elven leaders.
So you see here, we're going to have the same kind of settlement system. They did talk about settlements and cities having expanded slots, though, so that is something to notice. We will have more slots when we, with every single little building, so we have more options and more diversity, which will be very nice. But we have a Tiranoc chariot here, which is always handy. But we're coming up to the glorious White Tower of Hoeth. And this is where the seat of Saphery, this is the capital, more or less, quote-unquote, of Saphery. And within the White Tower of Hoeth, all of the lore masters learn their trade, all of the sword masters of Hoeth learn their trade, as well as all the mages. Teclis, after he goes to Lothern to drop off to drop off Tyrion, basically, he heads on over here and he starts getting trained by the Archmage of the lore master of the White Tower of Hoeth. And that's a bird. This being a sun dragon swooping in all hot and heavy like. I don't know what this is. I spent a long time trying to figure out what this is. It's not Shadow Peak. It could be Skyhaven Plateau, but I doubt it, because it's supposed to be up there. And here's another thing where I'm a little confused on. This looks like it could be the Skyforge, as I back up a little bit here. Yeah, that could be the Skyforge, but it also could be Tor. Actually, I think Tor Char is over here. Some Norskin raiders, if you don't mind, take a look at them, just skulling about, little assholes. So we're back on the back ends of the island I was talking about, the Outer Kingdoms, as they're called. Right under below us, right, actually would be more, probably right here, would be Cothique, Cothique. And we're going to start rounding the corner here. Actually, there should be two big cities around here. Huh. Can't see them. There should be two big cities around there. But this, I believe, is actually a Torachare. Acre, maybe. A-C-H-A-R-E. And this is the banner for the lions that are traced. So the white lions of Trace. As you can see, all of these rolling hills covered in forests. And that's just the white lions of Trace will get their name from. A, the white lions inhabiting this land, but B, their forestry and their forest stride and their great axes come from being former lumberjacks within these own forests. Coming across here, going by the Lion March being over right here on the right as well. Ooh, look at these little ditties. So I can't really make out this banner too well. And, you know, probably should have taken a look at that before, but... Oh, look at you. You look like a high elf or dark elf bastard. But we're starting to get into Nagarythe, and this is where the ancestral home of the dark elves is. The Anarian had his court here in Nagarythe, and Onlek is supposed to be just about right over here as well. We're just passing over the Lion Fang Hills as we round our way across to the Phoenix Gate, or in the Dragon Gate, and maybe even the Unicorn Gate. There's three big gates in the northern portion of what's this place called? Ulthuan. That we'll see. Ooh. So this guy. Oh, let's go and stop. So this one right here is probably the Phoenix Gate. Go a little bit further, and this. Oh no, that's just an aqueduct. This one probably is going to be the Dragon Gate.
Fortress gates guarding the outer.
This might actually be the Unicorn Gate. There's quite a few of them over here, because as you kind of come across this end, you see more of them.
A formidable force indeed to breach these ramparts.
Okay, calm down there. So we see a great eagle here, of course. Should back that up a little bit. So yeah, definitely a great eagle, looking all sexy. Like he almost, I'm remiss to see that there's no griffins in the game, because griffins are a very large part of the monstrous beast option as far as mounts go for high elves. So it's struggling to see that. Okay, so this is probably either the Griffin Gate or the Eagle Gate, depending on what they want to say that little guy is right here. But these gates, they dot the northern portion of Ulthuan, like I was saying. You've got Eagle Gate, the Griffin Gate, the Unicorn Gate, the Dragon Gate, and the Phoenix Gate. And these are all, of course, directly faced to the ancestral home of Nagarythe, where the Dark Elves would commonly invade through. And they will play a role in Total War Warhammer 2. They have a specific unit that I think it's a tower guard or the gate guard or something like that you can only get at that location, the fortress gates, and they're not going to be available for multiplayer. Strictly in those units are garrisoned in those portions only.
This puts them one step closer.
Look at this little guy. So this is probably either the Whitefire Tor or a Tor Elvyr, if this is the Eagle or the Griffin Gate.
Closer to stabilizing the Vortex and achieving their ultimate victory.
The ultimate victory. If you are on Reddit, you probably saw my... Okay, here's that banner of Caledor again. Val's Anvil in the back. Let's kind of move forward here a little bit. Very excited to use some naval action here. This is a squall. So look at this. That is definitely like a Lizardmen boat. or what I would assume they're going to make Lizardmen boats like, because that has got like a little ziggurat on it, very Lizardmen-esque looking. I love the fuck out of it.
The coastlines compose a threat as treacherous reefs and shallows take their
This is what is called debris and flotsam. So we have the Vampire Coast here, and there is a bit to note here. So this is actually, let me get back here a little bit. So this is the Pox Marsh, I believe. This is where we're coming over the Pox Marsh over to, I think they're going to make other, this is supposed to be, and you're going to love this, Tlax, the City of Ghosts, but this might be what they're going to use for, we have, of course, our vampire count, and we have Harkon's vampire count, and this is, the City of the Dead is on this island. This is probably Huatl, which would be a former Lizardmen temple. I'm looking in the forest here to see if I can see it. The blood swamps all back here. Look at that! Look at that! I just love the way this map looks. It looks so much. It's got so much more character than the old world. It's always been that way.
To erect new settlements in their place, or instead delve them for hidden riches and lost magical artifacts.
And this might be Axolotl, the Star City. We're probably, most of what I'm talking about now will be a little bit more on the conjecture end of me guessing what I think is over here, just because it's hard to say, because it's obviously a Amazonian forest. But I'm just kind of going off of the picture of Lustria, which will be up here in the corner. The Rogue Armies. This might be any number of cities at this point, but I know we're going to come up to the Eternal City pretty soon. We have one of the rogue armies here, the Wood Elf rogue armies. Not Lily Aqueduct. We have a rogue dwarf army right there.
This begins here on the Turtle Isles, deep in Lizardman country.
So let's back up just a little bit here. It doesn't show it, not really at least, but there is a dwarf, not dwarf, sorry. There is a, cause I don't think this is supposed to be it, but there is a high elf tower called the Citadel of Dusk on the very edge, very tip of Lustria. I'm trying to see if we can get a, oops. Yeah, there's not really, it's hard, it would be over there if anything. Unless they're saying that, like, that might be it right over here, because that's got some high elf stuff going with it. So we see Tiranoc, or I'm sorry, not Tiranoc. We see Teclis here with a lovely swan boat, very unintimidating. But we know that Teclis is going to be starting separate from Tyrion, which is a really awesome choice. You know, Teclis is going to face a whole different kind of set of challenges being down here in Lustria. He's not going to have the kind of benefits that Tyrion's going to have. It's more obvious to me as I watch this that we're going to have a mechanic very similar to Bretonnia, wherein you've got an ununified Bretonnia that you can use for trade, make a trade economy, or use to leverage into vassalships and confederations. So I think we're going to sit with Ulthuan. Now with Teclis, I don't think he's going to have that ability, obviously that boon. He might be like allied with Eataine off the bat, or maybe all of Ulthuan, who knows. But I see him as kind of being the harder of the two lords. And on top of that, I'm not really sure what the symbol is. I thought he was going to be for Saphery. I thought that this was just going to be Saphery's starting point or something like that. So I'm very curious to see how they do Teclis, because he's not going to have very many good possible allies down here this far. The Night Forests over here. Let's if we go back a little bit here. So we see some what is going to be orcs, forest orcs, or savage orcs. And now here is the Eternal City Oxel, I believe. A little bit on the conjecture side. I don't think it's Yversse, the first city. I'd be surprised if it was. He did talk about the. Oh, here we go. Some more orc action. And just look at that. Just sassy Lizardman ass. Ain't gonna get this. Coming over the forbidden jungle here. Another orc army. Now, this has been kind of beaten to death here, but we do have a dog of war unit. And we're going to be seeing a lot of them in the, hopefully in Total War Warhammer 2. That's Perazzo's Lost Legion. And what I want to do is just touch on a whole video that's going to cover Tilia and all the Dogs of War that are included in Tilia, and I'll do another video that talks more about that. We'll get to that towards the end of this episode.
He and his army have
Look at that.
the astromancy statue.
Pizza the Hut, as you might know, with his beautiful headdress, hands in the stomach because people just want to slap the base.
Finally,
Skink Priest back there.
join the legendary Saurus
So
warrior
the
Kronkar and his Lizardmen
I
cohorts
almost call it the Hot Gates.
prepare to do battle with a high elf force at the ancient portal of the Fallen Gates.
So yeah, if this is the Fallen Gates, it kind of gets me to wonder what the hell we just went over. This little guy right here. This could be a lot of different things. I don't think it's Hexawaddle. It could be the Stellar Pyramids, the Southern Skies. It's really hard to say. But the Fallen Gates is kind of the last and first thing. It's the most northern thing in the Lizardmen kingdoms outside of, say, the Fortress of the Viper or the Tomb of Gold. So that really rounds out everything here today, guys. I hope you guys got a good idea of some of the lore elements that were happening in today's footage. We had a lot of really awesome reveals here, I think. I'm really excited for September 28th. My nipples are hard just thinking about it. But I am going to be doing a video on the on Dogs of War. We're just going to touch pretty much on who they are as a whole, and we're going to touch on Tilia and how they really play a huge part in them. And then we'll also have some separate videos for some of the separate portions of the Dogs of War that don't really fit into Tilia, because the majority of the Dogs of War are from Tilia, but there's a good chunk of them, like the undead folk. There's a high elf lord in there. They don't really fit into Tilia, so we'll do separate videos on them. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one today. It was just a real quick one I wanted to throw up because a lot of you guys were requesting it. So let me know if there's anything you spotted that you wanted to call out, or you want to correct any of the claims on anything in Lustria. Except for Lustria was kind of a hard call to make. That's where we kind of glossed through it. But anything you guys notice, please just let me know. Post it in the comments, and if there's any more lore tidbits you'd want to know about some things, or maybe expand on some of the stuff I touched on this video, just let me know as well. But thanks for watching, guys, and have a good one. Take care.